we are headed to Tulsa, Oklahoma. On our way, there's no reason we shouldn't check out a roadside attraction. We got the Blue Whale of Catoosa here, built in the early 70s as an anniversary gift. The Blue Whale turned into a swimming park and closed in 1988. And it happens to be right off the Will Rogers Memorial Highway. Because, yep, Will Rogers was from Tulsa. Let's take a look. I live for this kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. You can see that people would have went in there, slid down this little white slide, and swam out here in the lake. Let's go on in.
You fall into my arm. Pick up the head so I can. Keep going, Dave. Go a couple more. There you go.
That's pretty cool. So you would have climbed up this little ladder and jumped off. Kind of a neat little attraction. Now let's go do a vlog. Alright my friends, we have landed here in Tulsa at our first stop. And today's vlog is the Francis Ford Coppola masterpiece, The Outsiders. And you can tell that I'm wearing a different pair of sunglasses. Gloria Simmons, this is your vlog today. This is your special Patreon sunglass vlog. I hope you love the movie The Outsiders. It's a star-studded cast. It's a great book that was made into a great movie, and we're gonna see some of the key spots even if the buildings aren't there. So now we're gonna head to where everyone heads off to after the drive-in, after they're confronted. They head over to Johnny and Ponyboy's house. You can see right here on the street signs, we have Outsiders Way and Curtis Brothers Lane, because we are right here in front of the Curtis house. And the first time we see this, we see the gang all walking home. It's Emilio Estevez, Ralph Macchio, and Ponyboy, C. Thomas Howell, and that's Johnny's house right there. So we see Johnny start to walk in, then here's some commotion at the door, so Emilio Estevez walks up along the side, and then the guys start walking down here, which then flips around to seeing them go right over here, and Johnny and Ponyboy say goodbye. Now this is really cool because this house was bought by Danny Boy O'Connor, the musician, and he's fixing it up, and at the end of next month it's supposed to be a museum. Now what's cool is that you can see that bend in the fence is in the movie. So this is the original fence. That is really cool. You see this 3 times in the movie. You see it once when they originally come here, and then Ponyboy and Johnny, Ralph Macchio and C. Thomas Howell decide to just go walk and hang out, and they end up falling asleep in the parking lot. And then when Johnny wakes up Ponyboy and says, "Go home, you don't want to sleep out here," we see Ponyboy come walking in here. And his parents had died, so when he walks in, the 3 brothers, played by, it's Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe, and C. Thomas Howell, are all brothers. Daryl, being played by Patrick Swayze, is he's the older brother. So he's when they come in, when Ponyboy comes in, Daryl goes off on him because he's saying, "Hey, where you been? If the cops catch you, they'll throw you in a juvie home so fast." So he goes in there, yells at him, they have a fight, and then Ponyboy takes off, runs out of the house. And that would have been the same gate that we see Ponyboy go in. Now I'm gonna try and do this kind of in order with how the movie goes. So we'll be back here in a little while after we've hit a few other spots. It's really cool to see the Outsiders house, man. To see it still here, pretty much the same condition. I mean, the same exact bent gate. This is, well, I'll tell it later on, but we see Patrick Swayze do a handstand right here on the way out. They're getting it ready, you can tell. So now we're just gonna walk a short block away to Crutchfield Park, and this is the park where Johnny and Ponyboy meet up again and walk over to it, and they're hanging out on that kind of like jungle gym type thing, and we see in the background all the Soch guys pull up in the car. We actually see this shot right here when the Soches are driving up alongside the park when Johnny and Ponyboy are walking. So even though we were actually walking from that section of the park, because that's where the house of the Curtises actually is, when we see them enter the park, you see them entering right here, walking up. We see Ponyboy and Johnny Cade coming towards us up this piece of grass, and you can see those houses in the back. So it looks like the monkey bars would have been right over here, because you can see this tree, but the fountain is now gone, and that's kind of the centerpiece of the whole moment here. The Socs come out and they start attacking Johnny and Ponyboy, and they pick up Ponyboy and they're like dunking his head, doing the Chinese water torture, dunking his head in there. And that's basically, you know, what we end up seeing, and then it kind of fades out. And then when it comes back into frame, you see that there's blood inside the fountain. You see the Soc is laying out here dead. You see Johnny is sitting over here, and you see Ponyboy's laying there. And that's when we find out that Johnny had pulled out his knife and he had killed the Soc. Now that ends up becoming a huge scene because of this, them killing the Soc, they're now going to be wanted. You know, people, there was a fight, people knew who was involved in the fight, and so somebody was going to tell. So that's when we see Ponyboy and Johnny go to basically the roadhouse, or the place that Tom Waits answers the door. It's no longer there, unfortunately, and that's where they go and get help from Dally. And they ask Dally, they tell Dally what they've done, and Dally says, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna take a train to an abandoned church up on top of the mountain, and you're gonna stay there, and I'll come visit you when things blow over. I absolutely love this movie, so this is really, really fascinating to see where this scene took place. Even though, unfortunately, they didn't keep the fountain here. I wonder why. I wonder if it's because people were coming out here reenacting the scene, dunking each other, who knows. Now, unfortunately, we can't go to the church, and we can't go to the church that caught on fire and Johnny saved, because that's where, you know, they basically, Dally had come pick them up, and they're coming back, and they see that there's a church fire, and they, primarily Johnny runs in to save these poor kids, and that's what ends up getting him in the hospital. We can't go there because that entire area is literally a lake now. It is under a lake. Now I want to head over to the hospital where Johnny Cade is hospitalized. After the fire scene, when he's a hero and they've found out that Cherry Valance testifies that Johnny and Ponyboy were only defending themselves, Johnny's laid up here because most of his body's burned up, and that's where we get to see that scene where he's talking about how much he loves Gone with the Wind, and how Ponyboy brings him a Gone with the Wind that they can read together, and Ponyboy's gonna read it to Johnny while he's laid up there. And that's also when the nurse comes in and says, Johnny, your mom's here, wants to see you. And he said, I don't want to see her. She'll probably just complain about how much of a fuss everybody's making over me or whatever. I don't want to see her, get rid of her. And this is also, sadly, where Dally is also hospitalized. They go up to his room, they see him hospitalized there, and he decides he wants that rumble to go on. He's the one that calls for it. But the saddest scene of all, I think, is when you see Johnny telling Ponyboy what stay gold means. He's figured out that stay gold means to stay young, to keep the mindset that you have when you're young, to never lose that, and to always be young at heart. So that's such a great moment in the movie, the stay gold Ponyboy. So right after visiting Johnny in the hospital and realizing that he's passed away, we see 2-Bit, played by Emilio Estevez, and C. Thomas Howell, Ponyboy, waiting right here, hitching a ride, or trying to hitch a ride. Pretty sad moment. You really end up liking Johnny the more this movie goes on. You see he's actually a really good kid that just had a really bad home life. Well, we are back at the Curtis house, and this is the meeting place for everyone the night of the Rumble. Now, if you think about it, this is a pretty cool scene when they meet up for the Rumble, because everybody in this house became a huge star in one way or another. And I mean, we're talking in this house, the only two people that were big stars in the movie, in my opinion, that weren't on this scene or in this scene was Ralph Macchio and Matt Dillon. But other than that, you have inside this house during this, you have Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez, Rob Lowe, C. Thomas Howell, Patrick Swayze, and they're all meeting up here. And this is when Patrick Swayze is telling Ponyboy that he doesn't want him to be part of the Rumble, because if the cops come or if there's anybody injured, even though they've all agreed that there won't be any weapons, he says, you know, if anything happens, they'd put you in a boys' home so fast. So he doesn't want Ponyboy there. And you see Ponyboy come out the front door, and he's standing right over here by this pillar looking out towards where we are. And he says, come on, Dally, I can handle myself. I'll get out of there if something happens. So, and that's when he also says, well, how come you never worry about Soda Pop? Which is Rob Lowe. And Daryl says, this is one brother I don't have to worry about. So they all come out of here, heading out for the Rumble, coming out this front gate. And when they all come out, that's when I was saying you see like Patrick Swayze does the handstand on there on the way out. And all the brothers, like everybody, I think it's like 5 or 6 of them, come walking out, and they start walking along here and end up basically coming towards us and walking down this street on the way to the Rumble. Now, even though you never really see the side of the house from the outside or anything, you do see all those scenes take place pretty much right here in this front room in here, and then they all come walking out onto that front porch. So the museum opens at the end of this month, the end of August, so come out here. I'll probably at some point make it back out here and do the museum, but I want to do the filming locations just today. Now, just a block and a half away in this plot of land, it could be someone's side yard, I'm not sure. This is where the Rumble took place. Right over here, you can kind of see in some of those trees how that would have been, but yeah, this was the scene of that famous Rumble where the Socs pull up in the middle of the street and they get out, and everybody comes running in here, and they have the big fight inside of here. That's where you see that the greasers are not just the 6 guys that we have seen throughout the movie. There's like a whole other set of greasers that they meet up with here. They have that big battle inside of here, and then they win it. It's a pretty cool fight scene too. I mean, because you can see these guys back in that day, they really loved to fight. So the greasers end up winning that one, and all the Socs and everything run out and get back in their cars right out here. Great scene. And that's not even the end of the movie. We have more to come after that. Well, right here in this convenience store, this Stop and Save, is where Dally has his freak out moment. This is where he's decided that he doesn't want to live anymore, and you can just kind of see it in his eyes. He's in there looking at the magazines, looking up at the guy working there, and that's when he rips that magazine in half. So right here is where Dally basically would have been standing. He would have been looking at the magazines over here on the magazine rack. Then he would have heard the guy tell him, "You do anything to those magazines, son, you gotta buy it." And he rips the magazine in half. So after Dally robs the store, he comes running out of that door that I came out of and starts running towards us. Now we're heading to where Dally was killed. He's inside that store that we were just in, and then he ends up coming here. Now sadly, it's this point of view that we see all the guys running, because they find out that Dally is being chased by the cops. So we see Dally up here on the grass having his confrontation with the police, and he's got that gun, and they shoot him, and then we see him eventually fall down this grass embankment, and then everybody runs up, and you see Dally die in the road. And the location of where they end up killing Dally is the same exact park that we see the killing of the Socs by the fountain, just on the other corner. So the fountain would have been over on that side, and they just utilized this corner of Crutchfield Park. Well, my friends, we are gonna end the vlog for today now. Thank you, Sandra, Jamie, and Kevin Kearney for becoming my newest Patreons. Gloria Simmons, I hope you enjoyed this movie. I hope you are an Outsiders fan. It's one of Francis Ford Coppola's finest. It's just a great movie all the way through, and I've always wanted to come check out these filming locations, so this was really cool to get to check it out. Hope you guys all enjoyed this. Go watch the movie. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you all tomorrow. Look, I just made a new friend. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Hi. Goodbye.